So today we're going to be talking about Hawaii and shopping local in Hawaii. As you all know, tourism is one of the biggest industries in Hawaii, and the best way to support the Hawaii economy is actually to shop local, because local businesses are actually the biggest employers nationally, and local businesses tend to give back to their communities more frequently and consistently than bigger retailers. One of the best ways that I have found to find local vendors and to support local businesses is actually to go to farmers markets. And so this past trip to Oahu, I made it my mission to go to as many markets as I could. I actually ended up going to, I think, like over 10 different farmers markets, craft fairs, maker markets. So today I'm going to give you the rundown on which market is the best market for your needs. We're going to talk about farmers markets first, then we're going to talk about makers markets. I'll use timestamps in the description box below to navigate your way through this video. Alright, now let's go. Alright, so the first one we're talking about is the Manoa Farmers Market, and this one is held 3 times a week on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. It is at the Manoa Marketplace, which is the hub of Manoa Valley. It is in the same parking lot as Safeway. There's usually 2 large produce vendors and then maybe 1 or 2 smaller vendors. What you can find at this market is all fresh produce. This is your like typical what you think of when you're thinking neighborhood farmers market. This is it. Like, you don't go here for anything fancy, but you'll definitely find local fruits and local vegetables. If you're staying in Manoa Valley, then this is definitely a market that you can check out just to get some fresh produce or just to try some local fruits out. The next farmers market, I actually don't know if I would call this a farmers market, but it is organized by the Hawaii Farm Bureau. So it is the Honolulu Farmers Market held at the Blaisdell Center. What's different about this farmers market is that it is actually held on a weekday, whereas most farmers markets are held on weekends. And so this one is held on Wednesdays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Most of the vendors at this farmers market are actually prepared food vendors. Think of it more as a food truck night market than a farmers market, and that is what you will get. There's definitely ample parking here. However, the sectioned off area for the farmers market is actually quite small. You'll find at least like 30 to 40 different food vendors for prepared foods. They do have a few like fresh produce stands, I think maybe like 1 or 2, but definitely don't plan to go there to get your like weekly groceries worth. But do go with an empty stomach because there's so much good food there. I honestly could not decide what I wanted to eat. The third farmers market we're going to talk about is the Kailuatown Farmers Market, which is organized by Farm Lovers, which is the same organization that organizes the kaka'ako market. The Kailuatown Farmers Market is by far one of my favorite farmers market. I think it has like the perfect blend of vendors. So they have 1 to 2 fresh produce stands. They have a few you know, crafts as well, but they also do have a good selection of food product stands as well as prepared food vendors, and the live music is always a vibe. Next farmers market we're going to talk about is the Kaneohe Farmers Market. This one is held at the Windward Mall twice a week, Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is one of the only markets that is actually indoors, which is great. It is also predominantly fresh produce. So if you are looking to buy your weekly's worth of groceries, or if you're really looking to find a good deal and a good selection of, you know, local fresh fruits and vegetables, this is the place to go. The next 2 farmers markets that we're going to talk about are probably the 2 biggest name ones that you'll hear when you look up farmers markets in Oahu. And one of them is the Kaka'ako's Farmers Market, and of course it is in Kaka'ako next to Word Village. It is held every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I will have to say it is a little bit hard to navigate through this farmers market because it is separated into 2 separate lots. So you have to cross the street in order to see all of the selections that they do have. Another thing about this farmers market that makes it a little bit more difficult to get to is that there isn't really any designated parking. The only parking available is street parking, which tends to get kind of crowded, so you might have to wait a while before you can get the free street parking, or you can park across the street at the harbor, but it will cost you. The selection of vendors at the Kaka'ako Farmers Market is pretty well-rounded, I have to say. They have a good selection of prepared foods. They had roughly like 5 to 6 fresh produce stands. They also had a handful of vendors that were local makers and sold, handmade crafts. I would suggest going here to, enjoy the different types of foods that they have, drink some of the sugarcane juice, and, just wander around and look at the different offerings that they have. The last farmers market is the OG farmers market of Honolulu, and that is KCC Farmers Market. The KCC Farmers Market is held every Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. So it is a shorter time frame, and earlier in the morning you would have to choose between whether or not you want to go to KCC or to kaka'ako because the time does overlap. However, there is a reason why this is the OG farmers market. I found this one to be like one of the most organized farmers market and had the most well-distributed vendors selections. They had 3 different aisles within their lot. One aisle was solely dedicated to fresh produce, whereas the middle aisle was more of your prepared foods, and the last aisle was more of your local makers and craft makers, but predominantly still food-based products. They also had live music going on. The parking was a bit limited, but it was really well organized to the point where it was actually pretty easy to find parking. There were people directing traffic in and out of the parking lot, so it made it easier. With the whole influx of people walking around, it does tend to get a little bit hectic feeling. So having those people direct traffic really helped a lot, making the whole process very, very smooth. The KCC Farmers Market is also hosted by the Hawaii Farm Bureau, which organizes the Honolulu's Farmers Market as well. Alright, now that we talked about all of the farmers markets, we're gonna go into some craft fairs and maker markets now. First one we're gonna talk about is the Malama Hawaii Market. And this one is quite interesting because they're a rotating market, so they change locations every week. They have 1 week in Waikiki and they have a week in Hawaii Kai. The next week they're in North Shore, I believe, and then I think they just added on another location at the Royal Hawaiian Center. The Malama Hawaii Makers Market is held every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The market itself is quite small. There's probably around 40 vendors total, so it's really easy to browse through. Probably won't take you more than an hour to really go through everything. The whole aesthetic is like a vibe. If you are into like boho, minimal style with like earthy palettes, this market is for you because literally I felt like I was living a dream. I want to buy everything there. It was so cute. They also had vendors that sold like dishware or like handmade bags, stuff like that. Very cute things to look at. The next market that we're going to talk about is called Art and Flea, and so it is located at Word Village, and I think they hold it once a month. It's held in the location next to Nordstrom Rack, which used to be the Spirit Halloween store, I think. And it is also quite small, around roughly 40 to 50 vendors, similar to the Malama Hawaii Makers Market. So Art and Flea actually has a physical storefront in Word Village where they carry a lot of small little trinkets and stationery goods that are from the vendors that usually frequent the Art and Flea markets themselves. If you're into those things, then you can find more of that selection at these markets. But they also invite a lot of like vintage clothing and thrift shopping type vendors. It does give off more of that flea market vibe. And I found that the crowd that, visited this market was definitely a bit younger than the crowd that I saw at the Malama Hawaii Makers Market, and I feel like the aesthetic too was definitely way younger and more like that Gen Z vibe. The next market we're going to talk about is the Lokahi Kailua Market. Once a month the location does change because of a Aloha home market, which I will talk about later. It is quite a small market. I would say probably roughly around 30 vendors. So it's a tad smaller than the Malama Hawaii Makers Market and the Art and Flea Market. They do also only have maybe like 1 or 2 prepared food vendors. They had a lot more like food type vendors though, so I was able to find like a vendor who sold locally sourced honey and like flavored honey. They also had like 3 different stands that sold different types of coffee. There is also some overlap in vendors from the Malama Hawaii Makers Market and the Lokahi Kailua Market. So the reason why I decided to visit the Lokahi Kailua Market was because I wanted to find a vendor that I saw at the Malama Hawaii Makers Market, and it was these pair of pants from Darling Little Co. So I decided to check out their Instagram to see where they were going to be next, and it just so happened to be in Kailua when we were going to be there as well. Next, we're going to talk about the Aloha Home Market. I believe this is actually held twice a month at 2 different locations, one at Ala and also once in Kailua. Market is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is quite large, I would say. You would find a lot of different like local makers and craft makers here, a lot of jewelry stands, I would say, similar to the Malama Makers Market, but they also had a lot more decor related things because it's a home market. If you're looking for, you know, that small trinket or decor piece to really pull your room together or house together, this is the place to go. One of the vendors that I really enjoyed was it's called Nalu, and they have like these woven blankets and towels and just very unique. This is also where I got a few of my gifts for my friends, which is handmade soap with these like dried flowers in them that are made from like Hawaiian flowers. So I thought that was really cool and very unique to Hawaii. The aesthetic of the Aloha Home Market is very similar to the Malama Hawaii Makers Market, so there are some overlaps in vendors there as well. I would say this is a really good place to go as a tourist if you're looking for, you know, small trinkets to bring home for decor. So it's a really good place for souvenir shopping too. Next, we're going to talk about some special markets that only come up once a year. So whether that's like craft fairs or the Made in Hawaii festival, that was a doozy. Okay, so I'll talk about the Made in Hawaii festival. Luckily, I was there when it was held. It's an annual event where they invite at least like 400 different local vendors to present, you know, their goods, and you do have to pay a ticket to attend, but I don't think it was that expensive. I think it was like $13 per person. So it's very similar to the Made in Hawaii festival that I also stumbled upon, but this one included all the islands. So some of the vendors that I saw at the Made in Maui festival were actually in attendance at the Made in Hawaii festival in Oahu, and it was held at the Ala Moana Mall in one of their parking lots. There were so many vendors, it got a little bit dizzying after a while, but there were a ton of stuff. I think if you are the type of person who is very prepared for holiday shopping, this is a great place to go for that. They had a lot of food products, a lot of crafts, a lot of resin products, a lot of food-based products, so think like jams, teas, seasonings, that kind of thing. What I found really interesting was the fact that a lot of the vendors that I saw at the Made in Hawaii festival didn't actually overlap too much with the vendors that I saw at the farmers markets and makers markets. Otherwise, it's just between the markets themselves I saw some overlap, but not a lot of those vendors were actually at the Made in Hawaii festival. Where I did see a lot of overlap was actually a lot of the vendors at the Made in Hawaii festival were at the craft fairs, which I found very interesting because the craft fairs, at least the ones that I attended, were actually school craft fairs. So one of them was the Noelani School Craft Fair, and the other one was the Kaimuki High School Craft Fair, I want to say. The Kaimuki High School Craft Fair is one of the bigger craft fairs, I think, and it was a little bit hard to navigate because of how they have placed the stands and the vendors. I actually found it easier to buy souvenirs at the craft fairs because everything came in like smaller portions for some reason. At the farmers market, you can also find like lilikoi butter and guava butter, all of that, but the jars are usually a lot bigger. And at the craft fairs, I was able to find the lilikoi butters and stuff in a much smaller container that's much more conducive for traveling and also gifting. Of course, there's no like fresh produce, but they do have a lot of prepared foods. And I would say that if you're visiting Hawaii, definitely check out KCC Farmers Market if you're looking for a legit farmers market to visit. Like I said, it's the most well balanced out of all the farmers markets. It has the fruits, it has the vegetables, it has like prepared foods for you to eat if you want to grab a quick bite or like a quick breakfast while you are there wandering around. And you can also look at some of the locally produced goods. I would say definitely also check out a maker's market if you're able. I personally really like the Malama Hawaii Makers Market, but it is smaller, so I would actually recommend going to the Aloha Home Market instead because of the overlap in vendors. If you're looking to shop local but for clothing, I would actually go to Ala Moana Mall. The mall is huge, first and foremost, but there's a whole wing where they have all of their local brands. Like one of my favorites is actually now Local Motion. I bought this hat from Local Motion during their Cyber Monday deal, and I also got 2 of their other shirts. They also have different collaborations with local artists as well. So when I went, they had a collaboration going on with Jana Lam, who is known for their handmade prints. So that was really, really cool. I started going to all these markets because I kept on hearing about what the markets were like from my family. Like, oh, Kaka'ako has really bad parking and like I don't really like going to because there's a lot of people. But I was like, but I don't know. I keep on hearing about how popular it is, but I don't know like what's bad about it. And so this is why I decided to compile this huge list of markets to give you that first-hand knowledge without having to do it yourself. And I hope that this was helpful in helping you pick which markets you want to go to next when you visit Hawaii and Honolulu. Let me know in the comments below which market you want to go to after hearing about all of these markets. I hope you had fun with me and seeing all of my goodies that I bought. And I hope you have fun and safe travels to Hawaii. Bye! Okay, you want to say thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.